Hi guys, welcome back to J2EE tutorial. This is the 34th video tutorial of J2EE. So in this tutorial we're going to discuss about a very important topic which is JSPs, which is Java Server Pages. So these are next step learning in J2EE, which is the advanced version of the servlets, which is called as JSPs. So we'll see what will be the problems with the servlets, and later we can see what it actually overcomes the JSPs actually from the servlets. Let's discuss here. So far what we are doing, we're just developing one servlet application, which actually which is a Java code here, and for the front end we are actually using HTML files. So we are having two individual files where we'll be having one Java file as a servlet, and which takes care of the functionality, and the user interface is we are maintaining as a HTML. So in regular servlets, so we'll be having one servlet, a set of servlets, which is suppose let's assume these login servlet.java, so which is a Java file, and the other one we'll be having login.html. So we'll be having both the files to complete our login application. One is the login HTML and the other one is the login servlet, and this will actually works for our user interface. Let's assume this is your user interface, which actually takes uh, the username and password details. Let's assume this is your login page. For implementing a login page in servlet technology, you need to use both the files. So for functionality, you have to use the servlet Java, and for user interface, you have to use this particular login.html file, which actually reproduces the UI, and this will take care of the validation or the whatever it is, the Java functionality. It has to takes care of the Java code. And these about the servlet technology. Let's see how many files are included for JSPs, and how actually this will benefit comparatively with servlets. So there is a file which is called as login.jsp. So we have login.jsp file available, and after that, that's it. There's no after that. So we are done with developing the both things. One is the functionality, which is our login.html, and the login servlet. Both the code we can put it in the same file. So the JSP is equals to your login.html plus login servlet.java. So this is the major benefit comparatively with the servlet. So the one file itself takes care of the UI as well as the functionality. Not only that, and you can have different types of features you'll be having here, like the defaultly, like in servlets and all, for getting a session you need to have some kind of code, and there you can able to get the sessions and cookies and all. But in terms of JSPs, it's the variables itself by default, it's directly accessible in these pages. You get to know, like when you're writing programming, then you get to know the difference between the JSPs and servlet better. So the coming to the advantages, I can say these the major benefit, like you can have the UI and the business logic within the UI plus business logic, you can have it in the JSP file itself. But in terms of servlet business logic, you need to have a servlet. For UI, you need to have one HTML file. So these are you have to override. You have the better benefits compared to with the servlets. So the first one is advantages over servlets. So the first one will be easy to maintain, because this is a single file, so you can directly look into that file and you can able to manage it. The second advantage is this is an extension to servlets. So this is an extension, means this will have special features which are not available within the servlet logic. So servlet programming, what are the features you will be having? You will be having more features compared with the servlets in the JSPs. And the third one will be, as you having the UI and business logic in the same place, so you don't need to need more time to like generating the JSP files and creating HTML files and putting the code over there. So the time will be saved. So it's I can say fast development. So even for development also, no need to, when you're developing, you don't need to deploy and recompile. So for servlet, what we're doing every time whenever some changes are happening, we are actually performing stopping the server and starting the server. So these operations we are doing in the servlet, but in terms of JSPs, we don't need to do that. So it's simple like how we are doing the HTML page changes. It's as simple as that. So you don't need to deploy and recompile the code. And even we have one file, so that's how it makes the fast development. And the other advantage is less code than servlets. So these require very less code compared to the servlet code. Servlet you will be having like you need to extend a class. Suppose if you look into the any servlet which we wrote, so if you look any servlet, what are the servlet it is, we are actually doing extending a class file and mentioning web servlet annotation, or you need to declare in the web.xml. Again, we need to override the methods, like we have to choose the method respectively, and we have to use those variables. And for writing content also, we need to have the print writer and all, and the content type we have to set it here. So a lot of things we are doing here. It's not like simply we are not getting the HTML page. It's like we are doing a lot of stuff like setting content page, content type, and getting the out object, and getting parameters. So a lot of things we are doing here to perform some basic operations in the servlets. But in JSP it is very much easy, and you can able to now as you can able to directly access these variables. Suppose you have the out, right? So out you don't need to create from the response object, and you don't need to get it directly. This out variable will be directly available within the JSP. So if you simply put out.print within the JSP file, then that's it, that will work directly. So if you put this message, that will print they welcome to JSP itself. You don't need to have print writer object, and you don't need to have the response object to get the out object. So you don't need to do that much stuff. And for having this form also, you can directly put the HTML, what are the form you will be having, that form you can directly keep it in your HTML. So these are Java code, and if you want to keep your any form, HTML form, you can keep it. There's no nothing will stop you. So as I'm showing, so you can have the both kind of codes here. Like one is the UI code, which is the HTML code, and the other one is that servlet code. Both you can able to have it combinedly in single file, and you can able to manage it. So these are major advantages with the JSPs. So let's see how actually the JSP lifecycle is looking like, because we mentioned that like this is an extension to the servlets. Let's see, make sure this point you have to remember. So in lifecycle, this point makes your the spark, like why I told this is extension to the servlets. So let's see how the lifecycle actually looks like for JSP pages. Let's assume these a client system. Let's assume this is a client system where user request for login, and once he clicks on login, then we are having one JSP as we shown. Like this JSP will have your business user interface and business logic. So let me call this as the JSP, which actually takes care of the login related details. So what will happen is internally, whenever you call this file, this particular JSP, what will happen is there is a JSP translator is available. So JSP translator will be available, which actually takes this particular JSP code and generates, which gives to the result of a servlet class. So which is in terms of the .java file format. So then this particular servlet, so let me move this diagram a little bit up. I need more space. So this particular servlet will actually gives to the compiler. And this compiler, what it does, whatever the Java file it took, so it actually generates a class file. So once the class file is generated, then this particular class file will goes to the JRE. So the Java runtime environment. So what JRE does, it actually creates one servlet object. So once servlet object is created, then what servlet object will do, it will actually generate the dynamic content and it will keep in the buffer. So it will keep in the keep buffer, which is the dynamic content. And this dynamic content, so whatever the dynamic content is generated, that will actually goes to the client again. So these are the life cycle for the JSP looks like. As I mentioned, once user clicks on login, then it will goes to the JSP file whichever we created. So JSP file actually it's not directly execute itself. So it will there is a JSP translator will be there which actually converts any JSP file into the servlet. That is why I mentioned JSP is an extension to the servlets. So the JSP will be converted to servlet.java. So .java file will be created, and this Java file will goes as similar to the servlet. From here, it will be the similar to the servlet. So the Java file will be there, and this servlet.java will goes to the Java compiler, and the compiler will generate a class file. It gives to the JRE, which is the runtime. So the runtime will actually create object depends on the number of user requested. So once a servlet object is created with this, it will execute the code whatever is available within the servlet object, which is the service method. So that particular response will return back to the client. So that's how the JSP is actually responding, and let's see the next topic. Like let's create a simple JSP and how actually we optimize the servlet codes and all. Let's go to the Eclipse, and there we can try to creating one sample JSP file. Let me close all these files. So for this, so the JSP file, as I mentioned in the first tutorial, so if you have any HTML files or JSP file, you need to keep it within the web content. So wherever the HTML files are available in the same place, you have to keep your JSP files as well. So let me go and create a file which is the JSP file. So if you look into the new options, there you can find the JSP file. If you are not able to find it there, you can type it here, go to the other, and you can type it here, which is the JSP file, and you just choose JSP file. That's it. It will ask for the name. So what is the name you want to give it? I'm just giving the hello.jsp. Click on next. Then if you see here, it will actually showing the preview of the JSP which is going to create. So it is just showing the predefined content whatever is generated by the Eclipse. Let's go and finish this. We'll see what content is available. In hello, there's nothing special, so it's simply it is having a HTML code, nothing special it is having. So let me print out welcome to JSP or first JSP. So I'm just saving it. So for first time I'll be restarting this because I just created a new file, and if you are doing any modification, then you don't need to restart the server. So let me run this application. Turn on server. So now we got Flipkart. There I'm typing. Let me go to the browser. I'm closing here, and let me go to the browser. So I have Flipkart, and here if I want to access this particular JSP, the name is hello. Let me type the name of the JSP, hello.jsp. That's it. If you just enter the JSP file name, then it's simply giving Welcome to first JSP. It's as simple as how you're loading your HTML classes. Suppose if you have the HTML files like index.html, so you're simply writing index.html. So you're writing this way, right? The same way you just need to call hello.jsp, then it will actually loads your particular the JSP file. So before getting too deep into the JSPs, and let me brief about like what and all the classes and interfaces are available within the JSP, and what are the packages we have within the JSP. Later we can get into the more coding, like what are the code we mentioned on the servlet code. Suppose if you see any, if you take any servlet, there you have the lots of business logic. If you see login servlet, so here you put a lot of business logic and all, connecting to database and all we did here. So this kind of business logic we can try it in the JSP page itself. So let's discuss in next tutorial. Thanks guys, thanks for watching.